Hey, so in today's video, I'm gonna be covering the 1362. This is exponential moving averages. I'm also gonna be covering some 3D charting and the INS harmonic targets. INS stands for Intraday Navigation System. So let's get started. So we are looking at ARUSD. There's no particular reason on why I chose this pair, other than the fact that it's pretty common. So, so I'm gonna first identify the 62, which is the aqua color EMA, and the 13 EMA is the yellow exponential moving average. So essentially, um, when price is below the 62, this aqua moving average, we are essentially looking for shorts, shorting positions. And when it's above the 62, we are looking for potential long positions. So as you can see from previous data, price was below the 62, and there was plenty of shorting positions. Once price broke the 62 and retested it, we can clearly see some potential buying setups. Also, the when you see a cross of the 13 and 62, that pretty much, for the most part, it means that there's a potential change in trend direction. So as you can see here, the 13 and the 62 cross, and price started to head up. And then it pretty much retested the 62 to do additional bullish movement. Most likely, this area was when the market opened, this gap right here on the weekend, on a Sunday. So when the 13 and 62 cross multiple times, like here, that that's pretty much some consolidation, and that's pretty much what happened here. It was some consolidation, and price decided to do the final cross of the 1362, which occurred right here. So because of that 1362 cross, uh, this was an indication of a new trend direction, or a continuation of previous direction, because price was going up already, and it started to make higher highs. As you can see, so price right now is making higher highs, and pretty much higher heights. It's an indication an uptrend or bullish momentum. And price just kept going and going. As you can see, there was no further 1362 cross. Price just kept going up, making those higher highs. Higher highs, higher highs. So with this being said, you're better off um, finding long positions when price is above the 62 exponential moving average. So here was a new cross of the 1362, and price headed down. Although it was a new cross and price was beneath the 62, price failed to do lower lows. Um, Lower lows are pretty much a downtrend. So price broke the 62 and there was a cross, 1362 cross. But price didn't do the following. This wouldn't this would have been a clear indication of a downtrend. So because this didn't happen, price basically consolidated again in this range. And pretty much price was in this zone right here until the new cross happened right here. So because price was at the was above the 62, that's an indication of potential trend direction, and we could clearly see higher highs. Therefore, it's a good confirmation for getting long positions again. Price just kept on doing higher highs. So it seems like price eventually got in a price zone where there was resistance, and pretty much price couldn't go above this. So this could have been an indication of potential reversal since price failed to make higher highs. See that? That would have been a confirmation of continuous uptrend. So because this didn't happen, the price eventually turned around, and this was new 1362 cross. Again, every time you see a 1362 cross, that pretty much signifies that there's a potential for a new trend direction. So this was an uptrend, and now we might be looking at a potential downtrend. If we start seeing lower lows. The price is now beneath the 62, and it's making those lower lows. As price remains beneath the 62, we clearly see that there was a downtrend. There was a change of direction where the 1362 crossed up here. So price started to go down. So it seems like this is the stage where there was some consolidation. So consolidation, all it is price not moving upward or downward, but rather sideways. And as you can see, there was a multiple cross within this consolidation zone. So there was one cross here, second cross here, a third cross here, and a fourth cross here. So after that, price decided to head down from that 1362 cross. And price just kept doing lower lows. From that 1362 cross. Lower lows. So pretty much to get my point across, the 1362 cross signifies potential in trend direction. So now with that out of the way, I'm gonna go into 3D charting. And pretty much what 3D charting is carrying the 1362 cross or moving exponential moving averages into lower time frames, like the 15 minutes, the 10 minutes, the 5 minute, and the 1 minute. So it's pretty much we are zooming in on those lower time frames. So I'm gonna see if I could explain this by me actually going into the lower time frames. So I see a 1362 cross happening here. So because price is above the 62, we should be looking at potential buying positions. So price also tends to bounce off that 62, and that when you see bounces like that, that could be a potential confirmation for support, bouncing on top of the 62, as we see here. Price just bouncing on that 62 multiple times. This pretty much to me represents a fake out, but nevertheless, price started to do higher highs. And more higher highs. Again, I see a bounce on that 62. Price went up, fake out. Price retested the 62 here for additional confirmation that price was going up and it shoot up. But anyways, I'm going back into 3D charting. So this is where we have our 1362 on the 30 minutes. So this is where we have our 1362 cross. And if we go to lower time frames, such as the 15 minute, using this indicator, we could see that our 1362 is still where it was on the 30 minute. So all we are pretty much doing is zooming in. We could even go into the 10 minute. and see that the 1362 cross is there. So remember the 62 is represented by this aqua color, and the 13 EMA is represented by this yellow coated EMA. We could even go into the 5 minutes and get a better view of that 1362 cross. And it's right here. And we could do the same thing for the 1 minute. Potentially, you may want to use the 1 minute for precision entries. Although I don't use the 1 minute or the 10 minute. I will use the 5 minute and the 15 minute for my entries. So as you can see, the 1362 took place right here where this vertical line is at, and price remained above the 62, um, which pretty much is a confirmation that we should be looking for um, long positions, and price just kept above the 62 for a pretty long time. This was the fake that I was telling you guys about. So right here, there could have been a potential, there's a potential new 1362 cross, but because price failed to do lower lows, that didn't happen. So if price would have done the following, making lower lows, then this 13 EMA wouldn't be above, but rather below the 62 EMA, and that would have been a confirmation of a new trend direction. I hope all this makes sense so far. And now we are going to go into the INS harmonic targets and how I've been using this specific INS. So I'm gonna go into the 30 minutes again. Probably, and I'm gonna start erasing all these arrows. Okay, so basically the INS harmonic targets is essentially a byproduct of the 1362 cross. So I'll show you now how that works. So this is the INS indicator. Okay. When the 13 and 62 cross, um, it projects these INS lines, which is the intraday navigation system, and HT stands for harmonic targets. And they pretty much support and resistance levels. That's all it is. But the way that I've been using this indicator, I've been using the Fibonacci levels. So the 144 is key because that represents the 100% fib retracement on that fib retracement tool. So essentially it's 144 pips. So if I drag my ruler from this INS line where the 1362 happened, and then drag up, I should see those 44 pips that I was telling you guys about. So here's 144 pips. So again, the 144 harmonic target represents the 100% fib retracement. So with that in mind, I basically place my fib retracement on the 144 and then drag down where the 1362 cross happened. So notice how they match. So the 261 fib level is the 377. The 161.8 is the 233 harmonic target. The 100% that I was telling you about is the 144 harmonic target, and so forth. I'm gonna go into settings and pretty much you could um, put this in your settings if you want to go with this method that I've been using. So now I don't need the INS indicator no more. In fact, I don't use it no more because I know how pretty much the INS harmonic target is calculated. Therefore, the only reason why I have it here was to pretty much show you that it matches. So essentially, when I come into the charts, all I'm doing is identifying the 1362 cross and putting a horizontal line where that takes place. And then I use my measuring tool to measure the 144 pips because that's where I'm gonna be that's where I'm gonna start my initial point on that favorite tracement tool. And I put a horizontal line just above the 144 pip mark. You could double check if you want, but this is not necessary. And then I grab my fifth retracement tool and start at the 144 pip and then drop it on where I put the other horizontal line where the 1362 cross took place. Pretty much I just want to align these lines. And these will be my support and resistance level. And I pretty much like to highlight in between the support and resistance. You don't have to do this, but I find this to be a lot clear when it comes to seeing how price is moving, if it's doing higher highs or lower lows, um, if it's uh, if it's respecting any like particular support or resistance level. I will also draw another horizontal line at the 200 fifth retracement and on the 300 just in case price goes up here. And the reason I do this is because it's a lot easier for me to see that there's a potential 144 pips from this line. So from this line to this line, that should equal another 144 pips. And from this line, it should equal also 144 pips. Okay. So because price is already up here, this might not mean too much to you, but I just want to go over it a little on what I mean by making it easier for me to read price. So essentially, we had our 1362 cross here, and price started to move its way up, making higher highs. The cool thing about drawing these lines is that you can see how pretty much respects the support and resistance lines. So you can see how this candle right here, it wicked this support line and price bounce. You can see the same here and here and even here. So this was where the 144 pips reach, and price remained doing higher highs. So I'll do the same concept that we did down here with this area right here. So this will be my 100 pip retracement. So I'm going to start here and then drop it down here. You want to make sure that it matches this vertical line. And now we start the process again. So as you can see, price went up, retested this support line, and then started going up, retested this support line, and started going up again. It kind of retested this support line, and price just kept doing higher highs. Again, higher highs, especially if you're seeing higher highs, and especially if you are above the 62, this could be a potential good entry zones, such as down here when it was tagging these support lines. So after reaching this area right here, After reaching pretty much another 144 pips, so this another 144 pips, price started to come down. If you would have take this type of position, that will be known as selling into the buy, because you're pretty much selling the uptrend. And as you can see, it respects these areas. And price finally found support down here. Notice how there could have been a potential new 1362 cross, although it didn't happen. If the 1362 cross was to happen, though, price would have tagged D62, and price would have started doing lower lows. But this wasn't the case. So after that, price uh, respected the support and just started going up. Here you can see another entry of the 144, another 144 pip mark, and price started making higher highs. So because we have this line up here, we could do pretty much the same thing. Again, apply the same concept that we apply down here. And I will start putting in boxes again. And remove the fifth levels. So far it seems like there is a correction. So as long as price doesn't come to, as long as price doesn't come and break this support, then it's safe to say that price will remain doing higher highs, leading to another potential INS line. But if price breaks this support, then there's could be a potential for a reverse. So this is pretty much the way I've been using the harmonic targets, and I basically also use incomplete and complete patterns as some further confirmation. Let's see if I could spot a couple. Oh, too many arrows. Okay. So the only potential harmonic I see is this right here. Kind of seems like it's a shark pattern because it breaks the A structure. This one right here. Let me try to do it again. We have my swing high correction. The C breaks the A structure, and this will be my D. And then price went up after this. I also see a potential cipher for me. So this could be a potential cipher. So the minimum for the cipher on that B point is no less than the 38.2, but cannot exceed the 61.8, which we meet this criteria. And the D point terminates at the 76.8, depending on that C zone. Depending on that C point. To find the C, we use the trend base fib extension from X to A back to X. And the C point must doublish above the 127.2 as a minimum, but cannot exceed the 141.4 with the body close. It could wick through it, but it cannot close with the body of the candle. But I'm just gonna leave it at the minimum. Actually, leave it here at this resistance point. And to calculate D, we use a fib retracement from X to C. And the D point for the cipher fulfills at the 76.8. So this could be a very nice advanced pattern if it plays out. So I hope you pretty much got some value out of this video. That's it for me for now.